Hey Trekkies, it's summer, and you know what that means. It's time for Creation Entertainment's Trek to Las Vegas 2025. This year, the convention has been expanded to a 5-day schedule, August 6th through the 10th at the Rio Las Vegas Hotel. Meet all your favorite Star Trek pros in one place, and hey, maybe you swing by Vic's Lounge and you see our panel. It's a great way to meet people in person and have some fun with your fellow Trekkies. If you can't make it to Star Trek Las Vegas, of course, there's also other events around the country this year. Trek to Orlando, August 23rd through 24th. There's the Trek to New Jersey, September 6th and 7th. And finally, the Trek to Chicago, November 22nd and 23rd. We're looking forward to meeting as many of you as we can this year. So make sure that you get ready to trek to Las Vegas.
This is Bernadette Croft, aka Bernadette Peters, and you're listening to Open Pike Night. At least they sound like they were well dressed.
Is this thing on? Hello, hello. Welcome to Open Pike Night, the Strange New Worlds podcast where your personal logs are the prime directive. I'm your host, John T. Bowles, here tonight with some amazing guests on stage and in the studio to discuss the styles and fashions of Strange New Worlds with a woman who's the only answer when you ask someone on set, who are you wearing? With me tonight are my co-hosts, the man who has been found guilty on no less than 17 counts in his life of cutting paper with a pair of Fiskars, host of Sudden But Inevitable, Jesse.
Are you not supposed to cut paper with Fiskars? I'm unaware of that.
No, it's okay to do it if there's a piece of fabric tied around the handle. That's definitely,
okay,
those are the ones you use. Yeah.
Be sure to follow us on Threads at Open Pike.
And the man who will make a costume for any party as readily as our guest tonight will for Star Trek, host of Green Shirt and Newbies Trek through TNG, Cameron.
I am a firm believer that there are two types of parties, costume parties and duds.
This is true. Your shredder was an outstanding costume. That's still, I found some pictures of it the other day. So if you've been listening to Open Pike Night for a while, we can't pull the wool over your eyes. Sometimes it may seem like a stretch that we knit together so many great interviews and episodes, but here we are again. Our heads are bobbing with excitement, and we're getting wound up to discuss the costumes of Strange New Worlds in our first off-season interview, as is our pattern. And it would seem allowance of time has given us this opportunity. If our voices are croaky, it will be from the exclamations of delight of the amazing costumes of Strange New Worlds. And as usual, I have tailor-made this intro to be spoken aloud. Hopefully, I was able to thread the needle of comedy once again. Welcome to costume designer Bernadette Croft. Thank you for joining us here on Open Pike Night.
Thank you for having me. It's an honor. You guys are killing it. I love your show. Thank you.
Thank you. People have been asking us to get you on, and we have wanted to get you on for so long. I mean, from the pilot episode, the costumes were just outstanding, and people sat up and noticed.
Thank you so much. Yeah, that's wonderful. And I have to pay tribute to Gersha Phillips, who helped design the first episode as well. Yeah, it was a team effort for sure.
Excellent. We are a call-in podcast, and we like to hear from our listeners. Here, we're going to start off with an early one from some familiar voices.
She's brilliant. She's incredibly talented. She's incredibly hardworking. We're very lucky to have her. I mean, she's, there are a lot of geniuses that we have to work with in order to make the show work, and she's one of them. And like, the show looks great because the people look great because of her and her team.
Oh my God.
Bernadette is brilliant, but she fakes an Australian accent. That when she's on your show, and you gotta not let her. Just don't let. You gotta stop her. Gotta not let her, because if you stop her at first, then she won't. But you can't let her go on with it.
All right.
Thanks, mate. Oh, that's very nice.
That was, of course, Henry Alonso Myers and Akiva Goldsman, the showrunners of Strange New Worlds, who talked with us last episode with our retrospective. But we're done with them. We're here with absolutely the most important person in the room, Bernadette. Cam, you want to get us started?
Well, yeah, let's go back to the beginning like we do with all our interviews and find out, like, how did you get the costuming bug? When did costumes become important to you?
I think I was born with it, honestly. I, from a young age, had a very vivid imagination. I loved storytelling and playing, and had a great dress-up box. And my sister and I would, put on concerts for my family, would make them buy tickets to the show, would make them buy the program, would make them buy popcorn. And we had the audacity to make them, give us donations in the intermission. So I was like bound for show business. I just kind of loved all of that. And my favorite thing to do was, watch behind the scenes featurettes on how movies were made, how costumes were made, props, sets, everything. And had just so much fun watching those big films like The Sound of Music, The King and I. I loved The Princess Bride and The Labyrinth. They were my fantasy favorites. And then later on, like Bram Stoker's Dracula, like what an incredible film. Those costumes are iconic. And I think like just seeing, all of that art is just like, that's something I want to be involved in. And it worked out, which is lovely.
Excellent. So was it mostly fantasy costumes that inspired you as you were growing up, or were there other types too?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely gravitate towards fantasy and sci-fi, but there is an art to, contemporary and realism. And throughout my career, I've worked on all kinds of different shows. One was called Cardinal. It was made up north in Canada, and we had to dress everyone, in very rugged, worn down looks. And I think there's an art to making things look believable. It kind of grounds the story, and you kind of believe that what you're seeing on camera is real. So I guess I'm drawn to it all, but mostly sci-fi and fantasy.
As you were, going to school for that, and your love of costuming was blooming into a career. Like, was there a moment that it felt like the door opened for you? Like this was the threshold you were walking over into being a professional?
Yeah, I mean, I always loved kind of doing work experience. Like part of my university course, we had to go and do some work experience in the field. But after the course was over, I flew myself to New Zealand without a job, and knowing that The Lion, the Witch and the Wardrobe was being made over there. And I lived in a youth hostel and started like calling every department on that film until someone gave me a job. And it was just that persistence. And if anyone wants to get into film and TV, you just got to be a bit annoying. So I just called everyone. I ended up getting into props and then props painting. But that was the threshold, I think. It was just like, this is like one of my childhood fantasies. I loved these books, The Chronicles of Narnia, and being able to paint the props for some of, the film sets like Aslan's army. So the weapons and the different set pieces in his campsite, making things look really old and broken down, or making a hunk of foam look like a rock that's covered in moss. So it was there. It was just like, oh yeah, this is a career. Like I never want to stop being in this kind of environment. And I remember like Tilda Swinton, who played the Ice Queen, she would often be driven around in like this carriage specially made for her because her dress was so big, and it was just this like, it was sculpture. It was like a piece of art, and she couldn't sit down. And so she was like a kind of like a horse carriage, I guess. And she just held on, and they took her from studio to studio. And I just remember seeing that, thinking, that's where I want to be. I want to be like creating stuff like that. It's pretty cool.
I want to make actors' lives uncomfortable.
Yeah, exactly. Sorry about it. But
look
beautiful.
Amazing while they...
Yeah.
You're going to look great, but you cannot pee. So, yeah. So,
that's some power.
I mean, there's an important question that comes from that with Lion, Witch, and the Wardrobe. Have you had Turkish delight, and is it disgusting?
Oh, I don't like it. No,
Oh,
I
okay.
think that I haven't had it. I know my dad loves it, but no, I'm not drawn to it myself. It
Not
looks
an
a bit
Edmund.
googly.
Yeah.
Nice. As far as costume design goes, who were your, besides what you saw on TV, have there been any inspirational designers that you have wanted to work with or emulate or collaborate with at some point?
Yeah, totally. There's so many out there, and they're so inspirational. Like Ruth Carter, who did Black Panther, she's incredible, and she got to collaborate with Iris Van Herpen, who's such an amazing fashion icon. Gersha Phillips, obviously, I've been able to do that. Catherine Martin, she's an Australian designer who recently did Elvis. And I did assist the background department on The Great Gatsby, like
Oh, wow.
years and years ago. So I could see her working, and the way she was able to not only run a costume department, but she did the production design as well. And I just thought that was so incredible. And the key there was the team. Like, she always had great people around her that could rally. And, I really learned a lot from just observing her. But yeah, there's Sandy Powell, Kate Hawley. My God, she's from New Zealand, and she's incredible. She did Crimson Peak. Those were really iconic costumes, and yeah, very inspirational to me.
Excellent.
Well, yeah, speaking of The Great Gatsby and like surrounding yourself with a great team, I was wondering, and I don't know if you'd be able to speak to this, but like Baz Luhrmann's films are so known for their production design and their costumes, especially. Yeah. Like, does that come from him? Does he drive a lot of that, or does he surround himself with brilliant people and say, do what you do best?
I think he's the driving force for sure. And I think he's the type of personality that his creative drive is really infectious. So you can't help but do your best work around someone like that. And Catherine Martin is his partner, and always elevates the design and always wants to make sure Baz's vision is shown. So yeah, it's wonderful observing these big name directors and how they run a set, and yeah, how they get everyone just so excited to be working in film. It's really cool.
Oh, with like Baz Luhrmann or with like Tom Ford and Nocturnal Animals, what would a Bernadette Croft movie look like? What would if you got to run a whole movie, what would we see?
Oh God. A sci-fi fantasy for sure. So this is something that could actually happen. I don't know. So my favorite show is RuPaul's Drag Race, and it's currently seen on Paramount Plus. And I'm just thinking, as a sister show, perhaps a little crossover with Strange New Worlds could happen, and we could see a little, I don't know, makeover montages. It could be really cool. I think drag queens are incredible. They save lives. They're amazing. And just the art of their transformation. I don't know. I think it could be really exciting.
I like that. People have asked, like, how do you top season 2? I think that could do it.
Yeah.
It could be pretty exciting.
We are going to add that to our list. We have a pike cooking show. We have a few ideas of like, hey, we can do spin-off shows here, guys. Like
exactly. And Rebecca Romaine, she may even have RuPaul's number because she was a guest judge in season 7 for the Hello Kitty episode. Very iconic. Violet Chachki one. I'm seeing a Violet Chachki show this week, actually. So there's a connection. They're friends. So I feel like we can get this off the ground.
That'd be great.
So what would your dream project be then? If budget was no barrier, effort was no barrier?
Oh yeah, something surreal. Like just thinking of Bram Stoker's Dracula, and that was like those costumes were the set. I actually believe that the production designer was fired and all the money was given to costumes. So that's like why they're so epic and they're so haunting and beautiful. Iko Ishioka, who's the costume designer, did such an incredible job. And I think something like that, where it's all about the costumes, but like on the story as well, obviously, but something epic and surreal, unusual, arty. That would be really cool.
I'm having flashbacks to The Cell.
Yeah, I was just thinking The Cell.
There you go.
Yeah.
Well, I've got to ask my Lord of the Rings question here. Then I saw that you had said you would love to work on the Lord of the Rings. If you could design for one character or maybe race in Lord of the Rings, who would you want to design for?
I love Lord of the Rings. It's so awesome. And I know Kate Hawley, she's doing the Rings of Power. She's doing an incredible job. I love her work. But if there was another spin-off, maybe Aragorn. I just love how dark and moody he is and all those layers and the breakdown. And yeah, I just feel like that could be a really interesting show to watch.
Yeah. So you wouldn't dress him up as Anson Mount in Elysian Kingdom?
No.
Okay.
No. That's a totally different character. No, he's just like, he's such a lone wolf, right? Yeah, I think he's maybe perhaps a bit more brave as well.
Same hairstyle though, right?
Oh, potentially. Maybe you could play around with that.
We do love to ask about Elysian Kingdom, but I know you've talked about it a lot. I mean, I feel like anything anyone wants to know about that is out there in interviews. So let me take a stab. I don't know if this one's been asked. Was Runa the first four-legged actor you've designed for?
Yeah, Runa. We love Runa. It was so joyful to be able to dress Runa, and such a great idea that Chrissy had to bring on the show. I think it was a makeup artist who told Chrissy, and then Chrissy was like, yeah, let's just ask and do it. But yeah, Runa was awesome. We hope she comes back next season 3. Maybe she can dress up as a baby Gorn or something. Yeah. I don't know. It'd be cute.
Was it fun designing for her?
Yeah, absolutely. So her dress was more of a hybrid. It was like a princess gown cape. It was kind of like a harness, and the cape just flowed off her body. But yeah, taking her measurements was interesting. It's just like, is this Runa's bust or her chest, or like, what do you say? What is appropriate here? Waist, like, yeah. But no, it was really fun. I hope I get to do it again sometime. You know, it's really cool.
So you've spoken elsewhere about how you hadn't seen Star Trek before you got hired onto Discovery, and now you are a fan. Is there something that surprised you the most about Star Trek when you started watching it?
I guess it's the fact that Star Trek is, it's a positive show. It always wants to give you hope for the future. I thought it was all about space talk, and I think that's what kind of like, I didn't watch it to begin with because I just thought I wouldn't understand. I couldn't relate. But there's so much to relate to. You know, everyone on stuff, like, they want to be good at their job. They're really good at diversity is like really important, and the differences in people is something that's special. So yeah, I was just like impressed and happy to like see myself there. Just like, yeah, it's just people who want to do good, you know? So yeah, I guess that would be it.
That's a lot like a film set in that way. Everyone being good at their job.
Yeah, it's funny, like, speaking about that, like, we all want to do the best in our job, obviously, and we're not working at the moment, and, you know, there's a very quiet time, but I guess the silver lining has been being able to watch season 2 in its entirety with, like, I guess the rest of the world, and just seeing how they consume it and what they're really drawn to, and like what is their favorite episode. And I love being able to see the departments that I'm not, you know, really closely involved with, like Nami, her score, like like the music, Jay-Z's cool visual effects, and just the different elements that we're all like working so hard and all comes together. And the acting, obviously, like, I go to set quite quickly and I establish a costume when it's first seen in, like, for the first time. And then there's a team on set that maintains the costume and makes sure it's the same for every take, make sure that the actor's comfortable. But seeing the acting and the subtlety and how good they are all at their job, and like how amazing they're at portraying their characters and what they bring and the depth, how beautiful they are. Oh my God, they're all so gorgeous. So yeah, it's been nice to kind of see everyone's good work in this time off.
Well, speaking of the actors, and what is it like to dress just one of the most attractive casts TV and movies have seen since 1999's The Mummy?
Right.
But, you know, I mean, I don't know. Do you have an answer to that?
Well, I mean, they're good people as well. So,
Sure.
you know, they got a lot of good qualities about them, but you know, they are so beautiful and captivating, and would look so good in so many like different genres. Like we're always thinking, what can we do next season? Like how can we outdo season 2? And I know genre has been thrown around a lot. You know, film noir or the West End, 1920s, like, you know, speakeasy. But I'm thinking mermaids. Like I'm thinking underwater. Like
yes.
our cast would be so gorgeous as mermaids. If you think, like Admiral April as a Mer King with a George Trident, I feel like that would be very captivating. So like there's just like lots of amazing opportunity there. Yeah.
That is stuck in my head. Add that to the list, producer John.
We can't put that out in the world. The people will stop listening right now and go start writing their fan fiction.
Maybe fan fiction is better because that would be so expensive. Like, oh my God, that would be blowing the budget for sure. Perhaps it needs to be a film.
Ooh, there we go.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of the actors, you know, I've often heard actors say when I watch behind the scenes stuff like you did, they always say like they found their character when they put the costume on. Like so many people say they didn't really know who the character was until they put those clothes on. Is that a moment you've seen on actors' faces when you put them in their costumes? And like, what's it like to be there for that moment if you have?
Oh, it is such an honor to be a part of that collaboration because it is just a wonderful experience. Often we get the script before the actors and we have to start work. We have to start putting mood boards together and thinking about character, where they've been, how can we show who they are by what they're wearing. So yeah, that's a really cool thing to be a part of. Like even the shoes they wear might make them stand a certain way, make them walk a certain way, the cadence, you know, how they walk. But even just the Starfleet uniform, like it's just wonderful when we have like day players come in as crew members and they might just be on set for a day or two or maybe a couple of episodes. But, you know, they put on the Starfleet uniform and you can just tell they're so excited or they're giddy or they say things like, this is so surreal because, you know, it means so much to them. Because, you know, it like when you put on the Starfleet uniform, you're representing such an iconic show and all it stands for. So yeah, it's wonderful to see their reaction. We've had people cry out of happiness, mind you.
Sure.
And just like, notes of appreciation, that kind of thing. So yeah, it's like why we do it. It's just like, man, this is a cool job. What the heck?
Absolutely.
All right. Well, we're going to get to our next caller here. Here is Michelle returning to the Open Pike Night stage.
Hey, Open Pike Night, and welcome to Bernadette Croft. I really adore the costuming on Strange New Worlds, and I know you've worked in many different genres. I'm wondering what has been the biggest challenge with working in the Trek franchise, because I do love the way that Strange New Worlds pays homage to the original series, but also kind of gives it that modern flair. And the colors really pop, but it's very sleek. You have the little deltas in there. The attention to detail is marvelous. And we notice costuming is very important to this fandom, especially to cosplayers. And I'm wondering also how much lead time you have. Because this season, for example, there were a lot of militaristic gear and just the darker colors and different types of uniforms. And I'm wondering how long you have to put that all together, because it came out wonderfully, but it probably was a bit of a scramble. I don't know. But I'd be interested to know how long you have. And finally, I usually make a Crusher connection here on Open Pike Night, because I do love Dr. Beverly Crusher, who was very fashion forward in her own way, particularly with the lab coat. So I'm wondering, what's your opinion about lab coats in sickbay? Yay or nay? Until next time, everybody, live long and prosper.
Awesome. Thank you for that question. That's amazing. And yay for lab coats. Obviously, they're awesome. Gersha and I did do a lab coat as an option when we first designed the Starfleet uniforms, but it wasn't picked up. So yeah, we did have it as an option, but it was deemed not necessary for this show. But you never know. There could be a certain character that comes on that we need a lab coat for. So we'll keep it in our back pocket. In terms of the biggest challenge, I think originally the biggest challenge was like trying not to be overwhelmed by the enormity of the franchise and, how Star Trek means so much to people. It is a cultural touchstone, and I came to it from respect, and I do feel confident that I can bring something, our team can bring something, and that, yes, we are pushing it forward with respect, but also, adding production value, adding the detail that our beloved Trekkies pick up on. So it's really cool. And I think that's also the best part of it as well. Like, keeping that like air of nostalgia, but with today's technologies and fabrics and even our skill set, we're just kind of, pushing it forward always.
What about the timeline? How much time do you have?
The timeline, yes. We get 2 weeks of pre-production, and then it's around 2 weeks to film, and then we wrap. And so we're always kind of like on, prep for one episode. We're filming an episode at the same time and wrapping as well. So there's a lot going on. I will say we do get a kind of a general outline of the season ahead of time. So I can kind of forecast when we're going to need a lot of labor, or if one episode is going to be more expensive than the other just because of the characters involved or how many background performers there are. But generally it's about 2 weeks. So it is a bit of a scramble always, but we love getting the heads up from our writers and showrunners about certain things so we can start early. And that happened for the Elysian Kingdom, obviously, and a few episodes in season 2. We knew they were coming so we could get prepared.
What's it like seeing cosplays of designs that you've made?
Oh, it's so wonderful. It's very humbling, actually. People who do cosplay, they go to so much effort, and they're usually using materials around the home, and they're so, they spend so much time. Like, I've got a 3D printer, but they're just like hand making things and hand painting the microprint on the Starfleet uniforms and stuff. It's just incredible. Like we're just thrilled when we get messages from people who have dressed up at different conventions and Comic-Cons throughout the world. It's awesome to see. And I think it helps the people too. Like they become more confident, like they can be a character themselves. I think that's why people love doing cosplay. You can just kind of be a different person for a little bit.
Yeah. And you mentioned a 3D printer. How has that and additive manufacturing and just desktop manufacturing, how much of that do you use in day-to-day costuming?
Yeah, the 3D printing element for costuming has really changed the game. It's been around for a while, but because we're moving so fast on these episodes and we want to infuse as much detail as possible, like it could be a belt buckle or a rank insignia or a special decal or just like an embellishment, like a decorative piece that will really enhance the costume. So in Charades, when T'Pring has her gown and those kind of shoulder pieces, those cages that were painted in gold, they were 3D printed. And, to sculpt something like that would take a long, long time. So depending on the moment, I do think sculpting and the human hand have such a beautiful element. But when we're like, working against the clock, we have to use the 3D printer. And Jen Bowen, who's our digital artist, is so incredible at her job and has made so many beautiful things for us and has really helped elevate a lot of our costumes. And I think the digital costumer position is such a growing necessity in our industry. And yeah, she's got a background in architecture, but yeah, it's such an impressive thing to see her. Like, I'll just say, describe what I want to do, a quick sketch, and she can digitize it and then print it overnight, and then it's a real, tangible thing. It's amazing.
Very cool.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I mean, I was wondering, is that there's a difference between like the side character costumes from say TNG to like Strange New Worlds or just TV shows in general now. Is that because of technology or bigger budgets or just more emphasis on the costumes? Like what is that transition due to?
I think people are just, in terms of production value, they expect more, and I guess for ourselves, we want to keep improving. I know from each season to season, as I know what our team can do and their like special talents, I feel more ambitious. Like I feel like I can show producers certain options that before maybe I would be a little bit hesitant in showing because I'm like, oh, can we actually produce this? But now I'm like, yeah, we can produce this and we've got the talent and the means to do it. But yeah, I think budget has a lot to do with that as well. But you just learn from the past. I mean, we've come so far from the original series to now. So yeah, it's a bit of a combination of a few things.
Can you speak to the balance of aesthetic versus functionality with these costumes? I mean, especially the ones that see like action sequences.
Yeah, it is so important to understand the physicality of what the actor is doing in a scene. So we work closely with Neil, our stunt director, coordinator. Thank you. Oh my God, my brain is mush. It's been so long. But yeah, Neil will tell us, what the actor is doing in a scene. Quite often they need more movement in the arm's eye. So we put in a gusset, which is just essentially more fabric in that area so they can move their arms. A lot of the time it's their back as well. So in episode 1, The Broken Circle, Babs did a lot of fighting and he needed a stretch panel inserted in the back of that jacket for that movement. And it's just so essential. We don't want to like restrict the actors. We want them to be able to safely do all of their action, to perform however they want to perform. We don't want things flying off into their faces. We have to make sure things are like really anchored down, that kind of thing. So yeah, making sure the costume looks good but is also safe is really important. But even in other areas like the musical episode, like that was a little bit of engineering there too. We had to make everyone a dance top. So that meant that, again, there was a bit more room in the arm's eye so they could, put their hands over their heads, do their high kicks, their high fives, and their tops wouldn't ride up. And we also had a piece of elastic underneath their top that connected to their pants. So it would anchor down. So when they did all their movement, everything still looked really neat and tidy and professional. So,
are you saying Starfleet did not expect their crew to be dancing when they designed the tops?
Dear listener, I'll tell you, I did offer up our wonderful showrunners that our team should be wearing sparkly uniforms, but they didn't say yes. I know. Missed opportunity, I tell you.
The Bernadette Croft cut. I want it.
Yeah, we got to get Henry and Akiva back now because we've got some bones to
after
pick.
All those nice things they said. No.
Thanks, Henry, but I have some notes.
Yeah,
see, they were nice to you, but they were really mean to us, so it's okay. We don't. All right. Well, we have another great caller returning. Here is Tess.
Bernadette fucking Croft. Oh my God. I have been dying for you to be on this podcast. You serve cunt. You slay all the time. Your outfits are fantastic. The costuming is incredible. Constantly blown away by your work. The way that you can use puff paint to make this fantastic looking, edgy, alien leather, so fucking cool. Oh my God. I could sing your praise for hours. I love the costuming of Strange New Worlds. I love the costuming you did for Discovery. I love the costuming that you did for Code 8. Everything you do is incredible. I wanted to know, though, what it is like to have to find this balance between making costumes feel comfortable for an audience to look at and familiar, and also be futuristic and sci-fi. And more than that, I wanted to know if you'd ever want to do something that's a little bit more retrofuturism, a little bit more like we saw in TOS, because I want to see a slutty little jumpsuit. I want to see some weird cutouts and fabric choices. I love your work. My name is Tessa. I'm StemFem Cosplay on Instagram. I love you. Bye.
I think that might have been a fan.
Whoa, Tessa. That was incredible. I feel like Tessa would like my idea about the drag queens and Strange New World, like that collaboration. I feel like she would really enjoy that.
I think so.
Yeah, thank you very much. That's very, very lovely. All of those lovely things. But the balance between costumes that feel real but futuristic, yeah, I think it's just like when we're buying costumes, we have to look at, proportions. If something's asymmetrical, if the color is a little bit weird or the lapels, we're always looking at different fabrics and textures, like, something that looks more alien that you haven't seen before. Maybe it's a cool tech print or something that's embossed or a fabric that's bubbly or organic. And we also add to these fabrics and textures and clothes to make it a little more otherworldly or, heighten it. Anna Pencheva, who's our key textile artist, is always working with unusual products and unconventional processes to just, invent new ways of how to put texture on things. We use ice dye, rust dye, marbling, puff paint, obviously, yes. Puff paint's awesome for so many things. It also is really good for breakdown. It adds a lot of like grit. And yeah, it's an amazing product. Foil, we use a lot of foil, making things shiny, making things look metallic. And yeah, just avoiding things like shoelaces, things that are a little bit pedestrian or everyday. We just always want to go a little bit, think outside the box. Also with jewelry, make things look a little more sculptural, shoes that look, just a little more futuristic.
So you're saying magnets sewn in instead of Velcro? Yeah,
magnets are always great. We always have to look at we have to look at what is kind of, we're trying to dress people 200 years in the future, but, we're looking at forecasting trends now, and that's a lot of athleisure wear. So we have to look at, who's the brands that are at the forefront there, but also little sub-cultures like we Gorpcore. I don't know if you've heard of that. It's like kind of more of a outdoor recreational items and utilitarian clothing worn as streetwear. So Arc'teryx, Solomon, Carhartt, Mech, kind of using those kind of brands and making them look kind of cool and, fashionable. So we use a little bit of that in Memento Mori actually for the colonists. And we didn't even know we were doing Gorpcore at the time. Maybe we were ahead of the times. I don't know. But it's just always fun to see what people are doing in the fashion world. But always remembering that costume design is more about the character. So it doesn't always have to be so fashiony.
You mentioned the jewelry. Do you source a lot of that, or is that created? Especially like the Vulcan jewelry.
Oh my God.
In particular is just amazing.
T. Pring's jewelry is so beautiful. That's pretty much exclusively by a jeweler called Michael Good, who's based in the States. Very sculptural, very divine, just to emulate her beauty in a way. And jewelry in terms of other characters like Ahura, we've got a local vendor, A. Costumes, who exclusively does Celia's earrings. And we had all these great options for season 3, people. It's going to be so great. So, when we get back to work, I can't wait for Celia to try those on. Because, every season we want her to have new earrings and just she'll have her own collection.
Well, I do have another. It's not a caller question because she just told me to ask. My wife wants to know where she can get a pair of Ahura's green earrings. I was hoping to find some at Star Trek Las Vegas. No one had any there.
Oh, yeah. I mean, yeah, check out A-Marie Costumes. She's on Instagram.
All right.
I don't know if she's allowed to sell them, but like, I don't know, maybe.
Maybe if ask real nicely.
Yeah, ask politely. A
Like,
lot of
be annoying, right? Just
be
like
annoying, exactly.
Just a little.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Keep asking.
All right. Well, that was fantastic. Let's hear from another caller. Here's Newman on the Open Pike Night stage.
Hi, Open Pike Night. This is Newman the Space Hippie from the Movies for Days podcast. Just wanting to throw heaps of praise at the fantastic work on the costumes on this show to your guest today, Bernadette Croft, and of course, her entire crew working with her. My wife Michelle and I watch every episode together. These are my favorite Starfleet uniforms in any Star Trek show. I particularly love the costume work on the Vulcans and Klingons in this series. Michelle would like to particularly shout out the costumes for T'Pring, as they are always immaculate. She would like to know which was the most difficult costume you worked on for this show. I am curious how much conferencing happens between your department and the makeup department while putting everything together to make sure it all fits and meshes well. I imagine there's communication, but I was wondering if maybe there's less back and forth and more figuring it out on the fly than one would assume. Forgive me if these are ignorant questions. We come from an acting background, so we only know how to lose weight after being measured, but before a costume fitting. That's the lot. Thanks again for all your work, and all my love to the Open Pike Night crew as per usual. Newman the Space Hippie out.
Oh, Newman, space hippie, what a guy. Great questions. We do work closely with hair, makeup, and prosthetics. But yeah, it is a fast moving machine. So often it's like we just jump in on their meetings if they're having meetings with the director, producers, showrunners, just so we're on the same page. Even if it's like, for instance, episode 1, The Broken Circle, the amount of breakdown, everyone should look really kind of like a bit, rough around the edges, a bit gritty, a bit sweaty. And we want to make sure the breakdown in our costumes matches the makeup and the hair. So there's a lot of just making sure we're on the same page. But I think, yeah, we all just try and do our best. And it honestly, we're all on the same page, and it does just, works out beautifully, mostly in the end. The most difficult costume, season 2, there were a couple. I mean, the Klingons are very involved. Everything's custom. So if you think about measurements, you might have 2 people that have the same measurements, but if they're different heights, their weight is going to be dispersed differently. So it's very important that everything's custom to the performer, especially when they're wearing things like armor. And Jennifer M. Johnson is our key special effects builder, and she always makes sure things are as comfortable as possible for the wearer. And this particular costume, there's a lot of engineering involved. We have to sculpt the leather to the body and make sure, it looks, impressive, intimidating. Alex Silverberg, our key sculptor, is doing those exoskeleton pieces over top, and he has to mold those. So that's a time-consuming process as well. But yeah, it's a really cool costume. It's pretty out there, the gold and the black. We love that costume. Another costume that's pretty tricky is the dress uniform. The amount of time it takes, and technically for the sewers, it's quite difficult. Like those narrow inlay pieces in the jackets just require a very steady hand, very precise. We want everything to look flat, really smooth, not a lot of bulk. And so it really comes down to the skill of our sewers and our technicians for those looks to be pulled off. And the shoulder rank, that's something that's 3D printed. We have to, again, everything is custom. We have to get these pattern pieces digitized, sent to LA. They get 3D printed with this silicon ink that rises in heat. It's like activated by the heat, so it has like a bit of height to it. But yeah, that's another like time consuming costume, but impressive as well. Like, yeah, it was really fun to do that update for the show. Yeah.
I love hearing about all this work in detail because, I mean, it comes across. I remember us just watching season 2 and being like, yeah, just that costume in the background was so impressive and the details were so evocative of the character and the scene. So those were the most difficult. Was there a costume from season 2 that you were just like, I can't wait to sink my teeth into this one?
Oh, yeah.
It was just so fun to make.
Oh, yeah. The lower decks for sure. Lower decks. Like, we were like so happy that this was actually a thing. And, you know, I love the show, so I know of it. But in my mind, it was like, yeah, red and black, it's easy, no big deal. But like when you actually look at it, it's not red and black, it's charcoal gray. My illustrator, Kristen Cordella, brought to my attention that fact. The boots are black. They were really hard to find. We had to like add to these boots. I think we were buying out of season, so the stock was really low and it was really stressful, and it was just really hard to get the boots. They were a big thing. Yeah, they have that little icon on the sole of the boot. We painted that in. The way Marina wears her uniform is different to everyone else with the sleeves rolled. We wanted to make sure the proportions, you know, were similar. I mean, a little tiny animation is very different to a human body. So, of course, we had to like, you know, make some considerations there. But yeah, I illustrated Tawny with natural hair, and she really appreciated that. That was a really cool element that was different from the animation. But yeah, meeting Tawny and Jack and seeing how great they are at their characters and all of the different options they give in each scene. Like I've said this before, but I really hope a blooper reel is made because it's just too good for people not to enjoy that. I love bloopers.
We will riot if there's not a blooper reel.
Yeah, let's riot.
and those costumes, those lower decks costumes were laser sharp. I mean, you did such an amazing job. We got to see them. We got screeners ahead of time, and so we got to see them before anybody else. We're just like, oh my God, I cannot wait to hear from our listeners how good these look. Like, they were fantastic.
Thank you.
And they all did. Like, I remember, I mean, in an episode where there is so much to talk about in the translation from animated comedy to this, like a lot of people pointed out the costumes.
Oh, that's so nice. It means a lot, and I know how important it is to people because there's so many fans and they want to, you know, see their favorite shows in their best light. But yeah, I'd have to say Sue Furlong, our cutter, and our sewers for those costumes did such an amazing job. And one little thing we did, we put scuba on the inside of the costume, which is just an extra layer. It gives it a bit of buoyancy and makes it like extra smooth, and like it just had that little bit of a 2D quality. And I just thought that was a nice kind of shout out to you know, the animation. And of course, Mike McMahon signed off on the costumes, and he was happy with them. He didn't want any microprint. He just wanted it super smooth and flat. And like I totally get it. I think it was a great idea.
Very cool.
So like scuba material, scuba
like neoprene, or
yeah, it's a type of neoprene. Yeah, it's just a really thin.
That's cool.
Yeah, so that was just, unfortunately, gets a little hot. So sorry, Tawny, sorry, Jack, but it was integral for the look.
It definitely seems to have helped the fidelity of that translation. I mean, it does look like just that exact design brought directly to life. And you're right, it's almost like 2.5D, not quite 3D, but it works so well.
That could be a cool series, actually. Just, you know, lower decks in live action. That would be pretty cool.
Yeah,
I hope
I would watch
a way
it
to see them. Yeah, again like that. Yeah.
So everything being as collaborative as you're describing, has there been anybody on set or in the cast who has made suggestions about their costumes that really added to them that you took and implemented?
I guess it happens all the time. Just little things we'll pick up on. I would have to say, in terms of my team, Jen Bowen, who's the digital costumer, she came up with the department symbols as microprint for the Starfleet uniform. And that is just like, it's just such a golden idea. Like we were going to do little deltas, but she had the idea and she just presented it to me. And I think that's the beauty of collaboration, is like, being open, making it a space where everyone feels like they're heard and that their ideas are heard. And like, even if we don't bring those ideas on board, it's just like, I think people's best work comes from an open, collaborative environment. And that comes from the top. Akiva and Henry, honestly, they help everyone feel like that. So I would say, yes, Jen Bowen was integral in that really cool feature. And yeah, hopefully other shows to come will do the same thing. And that's all because of her. And Karen Lee, my supervisor, she had the contact with Fluvarg. And Fluvarg are the company that makes our Starfleet boots. And I love the Starfleet boots and I loved collaborating with them. And they're so well made. And, it's a local company and they just add this cool dynamic flair to the silhouette of the Starfleet uniform. I think that it's my favorite part. I love it. And the fact that people can buy these boots and it's the real deal. Like, these are the boots that the actors are wearing. It's not like a facsimile. It's not something that's made out of lower quality materials. So yeah, those two women are, I'd love to thank those. And yeah, just like the collaboration with the actors as we go along. Everyone's got ideas and we love to like incorporate them as much as possible. But sometimes the suggestion box does need to close and we need to just make the damn thing and put it on camera.
Has anybody ever suggested a utility belt? Anybody?
A utility belt?
Yeah.
What do you mean?
Like, TNG, they used to strap stuff to their sides all the time.
Yeah,
And,
there's I mean, Apelia's got that little kind of utility belt pocket. I mean, what's in there? We don't know. Like, she's a sinister one, I think. I think there's a few secrets in that little pouch. Perhaps she's got tools, I'm sure. She's an engineer, but I don't know. She steals stuff. She's a thief. We don't know.
Speaking of stealing things, a lot of actors that we have interviewed they've been very clear that they can't take anything home from set.
Yeah.
Like, they don't bring their deltas home, that sort of a thing.
Yeah.
But you're in a unique position where if there's something you want, you can just make one. Do you have any Trek-inspired pieces that you just wear around the house?
Yeah, I wear my Klingon costume when I'm watering my plants. I just have to do that. My Vulcan costume when I'm vacuuming. No, I don't have any costumes, but I will say I do have a real Delta badge, which was given to me. And I won't throw this person under the bus because perhaps they stole it and I don't want to know. But I love it and I'm going to cherish it. But yeah, I mean, it's kind of fun to be in rooms full of costumes and that's the fun. Like, every now and then we'll put something on and run around and pretend we're, Vulcans or something.
I love it.
Is it like, a plumber who doesn't want to do anything around his house? You just get home and be like, I'm putting on like flannel pajamas. I don't want to see anything fancy.
Totally. Yeah, no, I think we're surrounded by it so much and so often. You kind of like need the simple life when you go home.
Yeah.
I do love the idea of you watering your plants with honor, though.
Right? Yeah. With honor.
Seriously.
Like, my plants are very important, as you can see. I'm surrounded by a rainforest in here.
Now, you mentioned Pelia, and before you mentioned loving The Princess Bride. I mean, was it being a little starstruck seeing Carol Kane? Has there been any actors you've dressed who you've kind of been starstruck by?
Oh, I know. She really was, like, honestly, it is one of my favorite films of all time. And like, yeah, Carol Kane being on the show, it's just genius. Like, that's the beauty of our showrunners. They think outside the box in terms of casting and they'll do these make these interesting choices. And having Carol come on, she's just a force, right? She's so funny. She's got that little voice and like, she loves jewelry. And we're like, oh, you know what, Carol, earrings are kind of a Horus thing. I don't know if we should, wear a lot of. She's covered in jewelry. She's like, I think I wear it. And it's just like, okay. And it's like, well, I guess she stole it from when she was like, I don't know,
right,
when she had her antique store or something. So she loves to contribute that way, and we love her. She's She's so fun. She's so funny and charismatic. And yeah, it's just really cool to work with her.
Sure.
She spoke about The Princess Bride. She said the prosthetics were really uncomfortable. That was like one thing. I was like, oh yeah, I totally get it. But yeah, that was my favorite. And she loves to hear about it. She loves hearing that people still love that show, that film.
If we ever get her on here,
Oh,
100% we'll bring it up.
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
So we're going to get into some more specific costume questions. But first, I want to ask, just as an industry, I mean, fashion is one of the most environmentally impactful industries. I think people are usually surprised to learn that it's like, yeah, it's oil and gas and then mining and then fashion.
Yeah.
And, you know, they're right up there. Like, are there any changes you think they could be sacrifices, something like that, you think need to be made to the fashion industry to help lessen that impact overall?
Absolutely. It's we're thinking about it all the time. We want to reduce as much waste as possible, and even like reuse things like fabrics. We can add another texture to it and can look completely different. Background performers, costumes, we're always recycling those, especially shoes and accessories, and painting things, making them look a little different. I hate the idea of like wasting fabric, so we're just trying to conserve as much there. We love shopping locally. There's a store called VSP here in Toronto, and it's consignment designer items, and you know, often they're the weird things that people can't wear, and so but for our show it's perfect. So we love buying things that are secondhand. But yeah, we're open to trying to do as much as we can. We often share materials with Discovery, which is filmed here in Toronto as well. So we just don't want to overbuy and waste product.
Want to see that budget on screen?
Yeah, you want to see the budget on screen. What is your top budget item? What is your number one line item for ordering materials each season?
Oh, it would be the Starfleet uniform fabric. That's from Italy. Okay. Do you mean like the most expensive?
Yeah. Oh, just like that's always because
we have to buy so much of it. It's so expensive, and I often have people reach out and like, where can I buy that fabric? It's like, yeah, if you want to spend $70,000 on 350 meters of it, sure. But like no one, it's only industry stuff. Like, but yeah, we have to buy our department colors in massive rolls. They come on big pallets, and it's like getting a big forklift in and moving all this fabric around. That would be the top. And the boots, like we do go through the boots just because some episodes require them to be broken down. And once they're broken down, it's hard to get them shining up again for use on the spaceship. So yeah, that would be our top items, I would say.
Let's hear from a couple more callers here. We're going to start with Zoe returning to the Open Pike Night stage.
Open Pike Night. This is USS Cinema. Captain Zoe Richardson commanding. Also host of Backflip Cinema, the podcast. I'd like to welcome Bernadette Croft to the show. And I actually have no questions. I have no notes. These are some great costumes. I love the somewhat contemporary design, especially in the civilian costumes. I feel like the costumes have been designed in a way that doesn't necessarily alienate the audience. It doesn't like look so futuristic that it kind of wows you out or kind of takes you out of the story. And that's something I enjoy. Of all of this series, I think these, like from TOS all the way up to Strange New Worlds, I think these are like my favorite versions of the civilian costumes in the future. The costumes on Una's trial episode were absolutely fantastic, so I can't wait to see what's coming up in season 3, 4, 5, 6 of Strange New Worlds. Thank you. Have a great day. Richardson out.
Oh my God, your callers, they're bringing tears to my eyes. They're so lovely. That's so nice. Thank you. Thanks for the support.
And speaking of support, our next caller, Abby, I'll play it here in just a moment, but first we got to shout her out. She absolutely provided a good chunk of the questions we're asking you today.
Oh, Abby.
She has been our diehard costume fan from the very beginning and is, I mean, I know she's going to be thrilled to listen to this episode and hear what you have to say. So here is Abby.
Hey, Open Pike and Bernadette. It's Abby Summer from the First Flight podcast. First of all, Bernadette, you are a hero of mine. I absolutely adore your aesthetic, and all the costumes I've seen you produce have been nothing less than stellar. And the guys will tell you that I'm always the one calling in, noticing the costumes, talking about the costumes, freaking out about the costumes. Like, your work is astonishingly gorgeous, and I hope it continues for a very long time. And what I'd really like to hear you talk about a little bit is all of the off-duty clothes that we get to see on Strange New Worlds when they're hanging out in the bar, because there's some really fabulous ones in there. Plus, I really enjoy the bartender uniforms, and I think that they're going to stack up against the classic TNG bartender uniforms by the time all is said and done. So I'd like to know how much effort and what do you do and how do you put all those backgrounds in that only get seen for a few frames, but there are those of us out here noticing and appreciating them. So keep up the good work, all of you, and I hope yours are well. We'll talk soon.
Abby, thank you. And come work with us. Like, we need, like, I really think on a costume team like Star Trek, you need someone who's like the ultra nerd, like someone who can go deep in the abyss of Star Trek and just know stuff. Because we try our best, and we have people we talk to, obviously, like JVC and Kirsten Bayer and like people, Akiva and Henry. But like sometimes, like in terms of costume, you need like a nerd on your team. Maybe, Abby should be my phone a friend. Thank you so much. Those are wonderful things you said about the team. The bartender's uniform, definitely kind of very sci-fi Judy Jetson vibes. We wanted the uniforms to kind of like match Jonathan Lee's beautiful Port Galley set. It's so stunning. If ever you get to visit set Open Pike Night, gentlemen, you've got to see this set. It's really lovely. So I just wanted something that looked very sci-fi, pushed the boundaries a little bit there. And this is a space where people, they're just off work, they want to relax, they want to hang out with their friends, maybe they're going on a date, maybe they want to dress up, maybe they just want to be in their uniform. Like, it's just a really fun place to be and to relax and unwind and catch up with people. And in terms of the background team, Nathan Laws and Claire Levick are our BG coordinators, and they are responsible for all of these looks, and they pay so much close attention to each and every background performer, because you never know when an assistant director is going to pluck one of them and put them next to Uhura or Kirk or Pike, and just that's the look you're going to see a lot of that in this on the screen. So they pay so much attention to it. If a background performer comes in and they're going to be in a Port Galley scene, for instance, and they're meant to be in a civilian look, they could be looking at a 2-hour fitting, and Claire and Nathan will fit multiple looks on them. They'll photograph them, they'll send them to me, and I get to pick the look. So it's just I love these moments. I love seeing their creativity. I love how they always leave in something that's super wild, and then sometimes I'll choose it. Like, I'll choose the guy in red leggings and red shoes and green shorts, like something a little bit off, because that's TOS. Like, they always had like these wild costumes. And you're one of your previous callers, like with the cutouts and the fur bikinis and like this weird stuff. So like every now and then we'll just throw in something fun to honor the 1960s. But our team is so wonderful, and they're so kind to our background performers. Like, we want our BG team to come back season after season, and I think it really enhances the show when you see those familiar faces, like on the spaceship, in the Port Galley, in these in the sick bay, on the bridge. Like, we want to see the familiar faces because it just seems more real. So, Nathan and Claire, they do such a wonderful job. Love them.
Awesome.
I have a question about the civilian outfits because, I mean, we do love when we get to see our main cast in their civilian clothes. And I feel like most of the information we, the audience, get about who these people are off duty comes through their costume.
Yeah.
Is that, I mean, do you get like pages of background on these characters we don't know about when you're designing the costumes, or do you get to kind of decide who they are when you're designing their costumes? How does that process work?
Do you mean like Ortegas and Chapel and like when we see them?
Exactly.
So,
exactly.
No, we like the showrunners and the directors are just like, that's between like myself, the ACDs, obviously, because they're very integral to my work and the relationship between the actors. But it's honestly the actors and what we think that their vibe is. So for Ortega's, obviously, she loves a jumpsuit. She's a bit utilitarian, just like a cool edge about her. Chapel, they're in a bit more of a sporty look, obviously, and we can push boundaries there. And we haven't really seen Celia Uhura in civilians yet, just in a picture, like a background, I think when Kirk had that photograph of her family, and just obviously
then, like, pajamas and stuff.
Oh, pajamas, yes, yes, and the staff lady should do-rag. That was a really cool moment. But yeah, it's honestly about how the actors feel, what they think their character would wear, and we just get a lot of options and play around and see what feels good.
All right. We have one more caller. Our new caller this week is Lucy.
Hi, Bernadette. Lucy here from the UK. Loving your costumes in Strange New Worlds. Particularly really like the costumes in Children of the Comet in season 1 and Among the Lotus Eaters in season 2. Would love to hear more about them and what inspired you, particularly I think the Children of the Comet. Thanks so much. Have a great time. Cheers.
Oh, thank you, Lucy. So Children of the Comet, that was like the Deleb.
Mm-hmm.
And then the space suits, right? The Deleb, it was interesting because in the script it was like an alien mother and her daughter walk along a desert landscape. It was a very, very small amount of detail in the script. And I love those moments sometimes because you can really add so much to the character and you can really delve in and make it your own. And in these collaborations, obviously the prosthetics team are working on an image and a face and the physicality of this alien. So I obviously check in with them and see what they're doing and make sure the colors will work, that kind of thing. I look at the location, see where we're going to be filming. In this instance, it was a quarry, which was very sandy. But I made sure that the costumes look like they lived in that environment. So these aliens were nomadic. They kind of lived off the land. Perhaps their decorations were found. They were handmade and, embellished in that way. It's just such a great time to like show, social class or rank or family inheritance and like who are these characters and what can we do to show who they are. And so we did a lot of fabric manipulation, like bleach dyeing, ice dyeing. We covered things in silicone, made them look very organic, and they wore these like traveling hats which were like pleated fabric covered in silicone, inspired by Iris Van Herpen, one of my favorite designers. So yeah, that was a really cool alien. I really hope they come back. I just love doing the Deleb. And the other one was Amongst the Lotus Eaters. Yeah, world building.
Personal favorite of mine,
Such a great opportunity. It's interesting, like I often ask my mom, like she loves Star Trek, but she doesn't care about social media. She doesn't care about reviews. She just like wants to enjoy it. And I was like, oh, Mom's going to love this episode. But she's like, her favorite episode was Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow. I'm like, okay, great, thanks. You can be humble, Mom. That's when I was doing all my world building in episode 4. She loves the contemporary. But, each to their own. Like, she loves the romance and character.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, and Chrissy's performance, my God, it was so epic.
Oh, yeah.
The way she did that final scene, what she had to think about to even emote like that was like so amazing. Like our cast, honestly, they're incredible.
Totally.
But Amongst the Lotus Eaters was one of my favorites just because we could do this world building and yeah, we've got Babs in his disguise and Anson and Chrissy. And the guards' costumes were, I think, one of my favorite of the whole season, just because I could kind of look at ancient Mongolia and armor and kind of ground it in a detail and a heritage there, because I think that, the references from the cage were quite crude and just like, they weren't appropriate. And so we just wanted to kind of like honor, a culture that's, has so much beauty to it. And these costumes, like every member of the costume team had a part in these costumes, like the sculpting, the 3D printing, the helmets, like everything. Really was a team effort. And I think the breakdown obviously is so important, like the mud caked on their boots, like making the tiles look like metal, making the edges of the fur a little bit crusty, and like they're in the elements, or they're trudging through this snow all the time. Yeah, that was a really fun episode for me, and the team was a great one.
Yeah, they're not the flashiest of costumes from the season, but like there's something about the lived-inness, the realness that I do love about them.
Yeah.
So when the script makes note of something like the hat is supreme,
yeah,
like, you read that and go, oh, I've got to focus on the hat now.
Oh my God, we've had some few fancy hats, haven't we? This hat, yep, reigns supreme. I just kind of did my research and looked at it, just like different shapes and something that would suit the elements. And yeah, Ortega's looked so great in that. Other hats that have been quite memorable are the fishing hat, Babs's fishing hat.
Yes.
So that it was funny, like when Spock had the silly hat when Amanda came, just like, what are you doing? And we had the little backwards delta. Blasphemy. I've heard that everyone's like very upset that we did that backwards, but whoopsie, it was a joke, guys. But
well, they're either upset or they love it because they get the joke. Silly, yeah.
But we thought, should we use Ortega's hat? We could use that. We could use Mbanga's fishing hat. But there's just a lot of fun hats. So like, yeah, they're in stock. We're ready for any other hat gag on the show.
I mean, I don't know how much improvisation is on the show. I understand there's at least some. Has there ever been a moment where a costume choice has altered the script, that someone's referenced it on the fly? Do you know?
Yeah, I mean, we've done it ahead of time for T'Pring's gown for charades, for instance. It was scripted as a modest gown, and it was just like, oh my God, but T'Pring, she's so beautiful. Like, we can't. It's like, can we do the opposite? Can we say the same thing and just show that, oh yeah, her mum's a little bit involved too much. She's overbearing. She's making T'Pring wear something that's a little bit elaborate, a little bit like, just like, this isn't your wedding, like, relax. So we just kind of elevated the look to something, a little bit more regal and special. Yeah, thankfully the writers were into it, because I can't bear to put Gia in a boring dress.
Something modest.
Something modest.
Yeah. Speaking of her mom, how much fun was it to costume the most put upon father in Starfleet, in Star Trek history?
Guys, both of them, they're so funny. IRL, they're both so funny. They just loved their costumes. They loved just like, swanning around in them and just being completely different to themselves. Like, their deportment is very kind of like, reserved, and the way they stand, obviously there, but like in between takes, they're very like loosey-goosey comedians. Like, they're very funny people. So yeah, I'd love to see another episode with them both. So great.
So for a character like Nira in Ad Astra per Aspera, did you look at past Starfleet legal officers for inspiration, or did you have a pretty wide berth when it came to defining her style?
Yeah. Oh, that was such a great episode too. I loved this episode. It was written by Dana Horgan and directed by Valerie Weiss. But yeah, I had a wide berth for sure. So when Pike visits Nira on her colony, you could tell by what the background were wearing that, it's a little bit of a retro futuristic look, a lot of monochromatic looks. Everyone was like very kind of tailored, put together. I did introduce some futuristic accessories, that kind of thing. But essentially, we wanted Nira to look really professional. She's very smart, very confident. And I wanted her to look just really feminine and powerful. Yetidi felt the same, and we were on the same page there for sure. I wanted to make sure we used beautiful colors that would look great on her, fabrics that really looked good. And for me, it was important to have like a visual relief from a very heavy uniform episode. So the uniforms, they're very formal, dignified. They've got that air of regality to them, and they're only worn on very special occasions. So that means when you're in your formal dress uniform, you better be on your best behavior. It's very serious. And I wanted Nira's looks to have that kind of visual relief for people and just be beautiful, really. And, you know, to show that this trial it's been going on for several days, because I think she had 5 costume changes. So it was just, one of those storytelling devices as well, having those changes. But Yetidi Badaki, I mean, what a performance. It was so amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You and she are the 2 Emmys that we have really been pushing for on the show. Like, honestly.
Oh my God. Okay. Can I ask you a question? Okay.
Absolutely.
Speaking of Emmys, next awards season, if I was to submit an episode, because I really don't know what to do here, because I'm very close to the episodes, but sometimes people see them in a different way, and it's just like, I just don't know what to choose. But if I was to give you 3 options, can you give me your pick? So episode 1, The Broken Circle, directed by Chris Fisher, amazing guy, written by Akiva and Henry, our top brass. And that was like the Kajitar Bazaar. Our team were in disguises. It was the Klingons. They were the rebels. And then our new uniform, our reimagining of that uniform. Okay, option 2, episode 4, Amongst the Lotus Eaters, directed by Eduardo Sanchez, written by David Perez and Kirsten Bayer. World building. I mean, ancient Mongolian armor, the weather, the breakdown, all of those details. Option number 2. Option number 3, Charades, directed by Jordan Cannon, written by Henry Alonso Myers and Catherine Lynn. The high couture Vulcan tailoring, like all of that beauty, the fabrics, it's just across the board. Everyone looks stunning. So what do you reckon out of those 3 options?
Oh,
man.
I was actually going to suggest number 2.
Yeah, I was going to say Ad Astra. But of those three, I think I might go Broken Circle, because as you mentioned, there's such a range there.
There's so much. I would go Broken
things.
Circle.
Whoa.
I would have to look and see what's won recently, though, too, because I know it comes, like, there's a mood that moves through award shows for, decade to decade.
Yeah,
so.
It's very hard to predict. But, like, this is so interesting. Okay, episode 1. The 3 of you think?
We have been talking about what it would take to launch a Emmy campaign from our end and really try and get people to get behind it. So
we can certainly put a poll out for our listeners also.
All right.
That's all right.
Okay.
With those 3 options.
Yeah.
Should we put episode 2 in as well? Or just the 3?
So.
There's too many options. There's too many.
Yeah.
So you can do 4 on Twitter, so.
Yeah. I think all of us would choose episode 2 to throw in as the 4th option. So
okay.
We're going to...
This
is the dark horse.
This is a great problem to have, Bernadette. Like, when we can't figure out, like, because every episode has such amazing costume work, right? Like, this is a good problem to have.
Yeah, it's a pretty fun problem. It's just a bit stressful, you know?
Yeah. We'll ask our listeners.
Okay.
I think out of the 3 that you gave us, I would say episode 1 just for the range. Okay. And yeah, the appearance of the Klingons, contrasted with everything else that's in that episode, it really is very impressive.
Yeah. Can we just edit an episode that has all the costumes from the whole season into one 45-minute? I mean, the story won't make sense, but the costume will be amazing.
Yeah.
That's a great idea, Cameron.
Oh, absolutely. And speaking of Klingons, you got to costume one very special Klingon, but then you got to costume that same performer again. And work with Bruce Horak twice in different ways in this season. How much fun was doing some zombie makeup?
It was so great. It was, I mean, that's another thing that needs to come back in season 3 is Bruce in some way. Even if it's his voice or like whatever. Like he needs to come back as another character. I think that needs to be our thing. But yeah, it was really great to see Bruce again and him as a zombie. Like, what the heck? It was funny because right before we were going to shoot, I think it was like the day before, I was like, what about space maggots? Like, are space maggots a thing? Should we put space maggots on Bruce? And then our key sculptor, Alex, was like, all right, I'll just sculpt some space maggots. You don't really see them, but we know that they're there. And then, yes, when we see Bruce again as a Klingon, he's in the armor. And one stupid thing we did for a gift to ourselves and the crew at the end of season 2, we made socks for everyone. And they were space maggots wearing Klingon armor. And it was just our like ode to Bruce. It was like, what are we like? What the heck? What an interesting combination of like just characters there and like just ideas. So yeah, that was our ode to Bruce, and we'll send him a pair. We'll definitely send him a pair.
Very cool. What's it like with costuming a stunt double?
Yeah, we have to again. We talk with Neil, our stunt coordinator, and make sure we understand what's going to happen in the scene. And for our stunt performers, they often have to wear stunt pads or an armadillo, which is something that protects your spine. They wear gel pads on their hips, on their knees, so on their elbows. So we have to make sure the costume can allow for that. So that's like making the pants a little stretchy, making sure they've got movement in their back, and there's enough room to put all these pads and stuff. So yeah, it just means multiple. So it's like our team has to just do like, you know, quadruple the work, because if there's a fight, something might happen. So we have to have extra costumes, you know, ready in case something happens on set, or, you know, if there's a fight and there's blood, if something gets covered in blood, we have to make sure there's multiples. And that happening tomorrow. Like, we had to make sure every option that we brought had multiples ready, because there's nothing worse than being on set and the director wants to go again, but you can't because there's no more costumes left. So we have to always make sure that they have everything they need. But yeah, costuming stunts is always really fun. Love it.
Very cool.
So we've heard that you have like sort of a flow chart of the history of Starfleet uniform design. And because of that, I have to ask, have you sketched out what a Strange New Worlds Next Generation uniform might look like?
Oh, they're pretty cool. I don't know if you can really get much better. I've heard that they were a little uncomfortable. So maybe we'd focus on how that fits, like how it feels on the body. But maybe just updating the fabric, adding some microprint. It's a pretty cool design. I dig it.
The poster was very specifically brought up by one of our other guests that you have made this timeline. How much time have you put into drawing out that timeline?
That wasn't me. That was Jen Bowen, our digital costumer. So she's just incredible, and she is a deep fan, and her dad is. And so she made sure she just picked very iconic costumes from each season. And it's just so great. Everyone has this flowchart in their offices because it's just such a great reference point, because there's so much going on in Star Trek. There's so much to remember. There's so many dates and things that, you know, it's just like so much to keep a track of. So this is such a great tool. But Jen Bowen, yeah, she knocked it out of the park. She's incredible. It's just such a wonderful show. It really sucks that the actors and the writers can't post about the show, because there is so much beauty there, and it's so interesting to people, like all the behind the scenes. And we love to see the actors doing their thing. And so yeah, it's a shame that they've missed out on that joy, especially when really big episodes like the crossover, like the musical, like stuff where like they could have been doing so many really cool interviews and like reaching out to people and talking about it and generating a lot of excitement. It's a shame.
Yeah.
Well, we'll be reaching out to all of those people the moment they become legally available. So that's what we're here for. Yeah,
absolutely.
We'll get them on. We'll get them back on.
To sing for us.
Yeah, that would be great.
Well, you had mentioned the history of Star Trek. Once you dove in, do you have a favorite series, not counting the ones you've worked on?
Oh, I mean, there's a special place in my heart for TOS. It's where it all began. I love seeing how wild some of those costumes were. Like William Ware Tice, whoa, buddy, you really went for it. And like he obviously was doing things to be shocking and exciting and make people kind of talk about the show. And it did generate a lot of, I would say, viewers. But yeah, TOS is definitely so important for us because that's why we're here on this show and, you know, tapping into that nostalgia, being inspired by what was made before us and hopefully honoring their work. Hopefully, you know, they're proud seeing some of their characters come to life again or, yeah, the designs, some of the sets, like it's all really cool.
What about characters? Do you have a favorite character from the history of Trek?
The history of Trek. I actually saw an episode of TOS the other day with Dr. Miranda Jones and the telepath from Is There in Truth No Beauty? And I just loved that episode. It was so cool. I loved her outfit.
And that visor.
The visor, with the red kind of like, yeah, that was really cool. Spock was very smiley. Like that was really interesting to see him being kind of like happy as the admiral there. Was he an admiral? He was like something. But anyway, it was a really great episode. We saw Scotty in his kilt. Spock was wearing an IDIC pendant. And we've used that pendant on our show before. So it's really cool to see that. Oh, there's just so many characters. It's so amazing.
That's a good answer. Yeah. All right. Well, we've got a little segment we'd like to try. Yeah, we'll just jump in. So I'm just going to read the names of season 2 episodes, and you just tell me the first thing that pops in your mind. Maybe the first costume that pops in your mind, or you know, we're a little word association. So, The Broken Circle,
leather,
Ad Astra per Aspera,
Yetidi,
Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow,
my mom. She just loved it so much.
Among the Lotus Eaters,
Mongolian ancient armor,
Charades,
fashion,
Lost in Translation,
leather jacket,
Those Old Scientists,
joy.
Here's one we didn't talk too much about, Under the Cloak of War.
So much work. My God.
I bet.
So much work. Like so many. Oh my God. That was like, I would say the most labor intensive episode. Oh yeah.
Wow.
Interestingly, like
that one.
The tactical uniform's very like labor intensive to do all of that armor and the jumpsuits. And yeah, there's a lot of background. So it was just like, yeah, a lot. Oh.
Sure. How about Subspace Rhapsody?
Oh. Do you know what? My mom, again, like when that episode aired, I was on FaceTime with her and just like, she was bamboozled with joy. Like she just could not believe that we did it. Cause she doesn't keep abreast of like social media and she just didn't know it was coming. So when Spock started singing, she just thought it was the most amazing thing. So I just like, honestly, it reminds me of how much joy my mom was exuding. Like she thought, what the heck? I can't believe you did that. The audacity. She just loved it so much. So yeah, seeing people's reactions like that is really cool.
That is awesome. I mean, you know, Paramount advertised that was going to be the musical, and a lot of Trekkies had kind of picked up on hints and knew it was coming on that episode.
Yeah,
but I just talked to someone else who had watched it and didn't know it was coming.
Yeah.
Like that must have been such an amazing moment if you had no idea what it was about.
Yeah, a real shock. Like, and then it just kind of went through, and they're all so good in their own way. Oh my God. And then, you know, especially Celia and Chrissy and Rebecca,
Seriously.
like they're really wonderful song people.
Oh, yeah.
And then finally, Hegemony. The finale. The finale.
Okay, just goo. We had to research Dawn goo, like what it looked like. How did it dry on costumes? The color of it, the translucency, like goo. We just had to do a lot of goo.
That's
Goo.
You absolutely understood the assignment of that segment. Thank
Yeah,
you.
very good. Thank you. It's a new segment we're trying out, so
Yeah.
I think it's a segment we're going to continue doing because that was super fun.
It's really fun, but feel free not to do all of them because some of them are stupid, but whatever.
So is there anything that you haven't gotten a chance to talk about for working on Strange New Worlds that you just would love people to know?
No, I would just like to emphasize how amazing the team is. Honestly, like without their talent, I wouldn't be able to dream up these ambitious costumes, and they really do make everything so amazing. So I would shout out my costume team for sure.
All right.
Hopefully they all come back.
Yeah, hopefully.
I know.
Well, I have one final, not a listener question again, but my daughter has come on and she's had questions for some of our planetary scientists because she's really into space, but she also loves to make clothes for her dolls. And I have to say, I am amazed at what the 6-year-old puts together with masking tape and just scraps of fabric she finds around and cuts up the other doll clothes, but that's another story. I asked her if she had a question, and this is what she gave me. She wants to know from a professional costumer how she can make a good flowing skirt. She wants a nice flowy material to make skirts for her Barbies. Like, what's a good around the house material you would suggest for that?
Oh, good question. I would
Apparently
go around the
with-
house and feel it and like feel the different textures around. Maybe it's the curtain, maybe it's got a good drape.
Bernadette?
Just get those scissors and start cutting.
Bernadette, she has Bernadette.
Those sheets.
I'm going to
get into the closet. See what clothes there are. Be inventive.
I asked for it. All right, that's fair. I brought it upon myself. I will play this for her.
I'm glad that she's creating though. That's wonderful.
It's pretty impressive. It's good stuff. Yeah.
So, super nerdy question here. Your sewers, do they bring their own machines, or do you guys have a fleet of machines? And if so, what's your favorite? What do you guys use?
We've got industrial machines and we have a fleet of machines. There are a lot. We've actually got 2 sewing rooms because there's so many sewers. We have 4 cutters and they each have 2 or 3 sewers that are that work closely with those cutters. And every cutter has a different background themselves. So Sue Furlong, who I mentioned earlier, she's very she comes from like a tailoring background, so she's very focused on the Starfleet uniform, and anytime we do the dress uniform, we've got Stephen Wong, who comes from fashion, and he does a lot of draping and he does a lot of T'Pring stuff in the Vulcans and all of that kind of like more high fashion costumes. So yeah, I would say, it's just industrial. Like we make a lot in-house, so we have to make sure our team has the best quality and the best tools that we can afford. Yeah.
Get those 5,000 stitch per minute going.
Yeah,
and,
exactly.
Crank them out.
Yeah,
That's cool.
we've got a really big heat press. We've got a couple of heat presses. We've got a 3D printer now. And just like, as the seasons go on, we just hope to like build on what we have so we can keep doing things faster, more effective, or more interesting outcomes. We just love pushing the boundaries and, outdoing the previous episode before.
I've got to say, so far, you guys have accomplished that. Like, as a huge fan of Star Trek, there's never been an episode of Strange New Worlds where I'm like, oh, the costumes really let him down this time. Like, it's one of them.
We're just okay. Only,
like it's been one of consistently the most mind-blowingly well done pieces of the show. So thank you so much, and to your team as well.
Yes,
thank you very much.
pass
Absolutely.
on.
Thank you.
Yeah,
everybody's doing an amazing job.
Oh, that's so nice. Thank you.
So, Bernadette Croft, Open Pike Night is an open mic night themed podcast. Do you have a joke for us today?
I don't like this section of your stuff, but this is your fault, so I might get in trouble about this. But anyway, knock knock.
Who's there?
Who's there?
Yoda lady.
Yoda lady.
Guys, stop yodeling. It's so annoying. Just shut up. Sick of it.
I love that.
That takes me back to second grade.
Yep.
Last time I got caught into that trap.
Yep. You also understood that assignment. So thank you very much. Mm-hmm. Is there anything you'd like to plug?
My Instagram handle is Berncroft, BERNCROFT on Instagram.
One of my favorite follows on Instagram, honestly. Like, just like the show, it's just replete with nothing but gold. So.
Oh, thanks so much.
Thank you so much.
Yes.
This has been a fantastic discussion.
Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it. Thank you for your interest, your support. Thanks to all the listeners. They're so sweet. They're awesome people. Thank you. Anytime.
They make our show.
Oh, we'll be back in touch.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Thanks once again to Bernadette Croft for joining us on Open Pike Night. And special thank you to caller and listener Abby for helping us organize so many good fashion questions. We really appreciate that support. Cam, how can people get heard on the Open Pike Night stage?
Oh, man, they can do that. Wow, curveball here. Well, so many ways. You can record your own voice message however you like and send it to openpike@gmail.com. Or if you just want ease of use, head on over to openpike.com and click the Join Us button up at top. You can record your own voicemail and we'll send it straight to us right there.
Excellent. And Jesse, where can folks find us online?
You can find us on basically any social media that you can think of at Open Pike. And I do just want to echo John's thanks to Abby. Make sure you check out the First Flight podcast, even if you're not an Enterprise fan, because I am not, and I still enjoy listening to that show. But yes, we are on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, YouTube. We are everywhere.
That's true.
At Open Pike.
Are you okay, Jesse?
He's chasing a bug.
Oh.
There's a gnat. Yeah, I'm not losing it. There's a gnat in my house.
You don't have to go get all bendy. Come on, man.
He just dropped some acid before in the middle of this interview.
Cam, when you're not on the Open Pike Night stage, where can folks find you?
You can find me over at GreenShirt87 on Twitter, where the Twitter account for Green Shirt, A Newbie Struck the Next Generation, my TNG podcast where John and I and a couple others are watching TNG. DS9 also there. You can hear, and I'm going to throw out some love to Abby Summers here as well. She's been a guest on that. And even if you're not a huge Enterprise fan, they did drop a Strange New Worlds bonus episode. So we know you all like Strange New Worlds. Go check it out. And who's not an Enterprise fan? Come on, guys.
Exactly.
Hi.
No, okay.
Well, fine, Jesse, when you're hating Enterprise and not on the Open Pike Night stage, where can folks find you?
You can just stay in this podcasting app and look up Sudden But Inevitable, which is the show where I introduce friends to single season television shows that I feel were canceled before their time, such as Firefly, Cowboy Bebop. We also have seen movies together that they should have experienced but hadn't. We found somebody that had never seen Donnie Darko, so we took them through that. I checked out Logan's Run for the first time ever with recent guest Marcy. That was a lot of fun. So just stay here and look up Sudden But Inevitable.
It's been a long night, and the Open Pike Night crew has to go really up our wardrobe game, guys. I mean, when's the last time any of you 3D printed clothing? Because I haven't in quite a while.
April?
I think in ever.
Yeah.
But I do have a pair of
Never.
Vulcan ears that I gotta find. I don't remember where I put them, but I do have them and they do fit.
Cam, do you have a pair of Vulcan ears?
I don't, but my friend made me this little 3D printed idol from Raiders of the Lost Ark, and if I put it on my head, I'm wearing it, right?
Yes.
I'm wearing it.
Yeah,
that's
that
clothing. Yeah.
I, too, have a pair of Vulcan ears. I think I know where they are. So, that makes 2 out of 3 of us who are actually true Trekkies. Thank you for joining us. Be sure to clean up after yourselves. Be sure to tip your servers. You can go anywhere you want, but you can't stay here.
My daughter has some elf ears I can go find.